Welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a really incredible one for you today.
Yeah, we really do. It's a wild ride.
It is. So we are opening up this highly classified, incredibly unique stack of sources for you. We're looking at a collection of official mission logs, some restricted medical readouts, and these just deeply personal crew diaries.
From the USS Arawyn, right?
Exactly, from the starship Arawyn. And our mission for you today is to explore this just profound ethical nightmare. We are going to unpack exactly what happens when a highly advanced starship crew faces, well, an impossible collision with history.
Right. It's that terrifying gray area
Yeah.
where doing the supposedly right thing, like a futuristic rescue mission, could actually destroy the very people it's trying to save.
Yes. And to understand the sheer scale of the stakes here, I want you to picture something in your mind. Just imagine it's a warm, late spring evening.
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday, May 15, 1984.
1984.
Right. Sherman Oaks, California. You are standing in a suburban cul-de-sac, and it just belongs completely to the neighborhood kids.
Oh, I can picture it perfectly.
You know the vibe. You've got bikes scattered haphazardly across driveways, leather baseball gloves abandoned in the front yard grass. I mean, there's a kid named Heather coasting on this faded blue banana seat bike.
With those little plastic streamers on the handlebars.
Yes, exactly those. And there's a heavy silver cassette player sitting on the hood of a parked Buick, and it's just blasting the cars through these weak, fuzzy speakers.
Such a classic image.
It is. And the air around you smells like this potent mix of, automated sprinklers, fresh-cut grass, chlorine from backyard pools.
And probably charcoal smoke from somebody grilling hamburgers down the block.
Right. It is the absolute picture of a totally normal golden hour in Southern California.
The sun is just starting to drop behind the San Fernando Valley Hills. And the kids are probably restless because summer vacation is only, 2 weeks away?
Exactly. It's an evening defined by its complete, utter mundanity. It's safe. It's known.
Until it isn't.
Right. Because then a low-rolling earthquake hits. Just a quick, violent bump. The driveway basketball hoop rattles aggressively. The wind chimes of the porches just explode into noise.
And every kid in the cul-de-sac freezes. They're relying on that classic, deeply ingrained California earthquake reflex.
They all just stop. And the ground shudders one more time, making the heavy parked cars bounce faintly on their suspensions. And then
It just stops.
it just stops, and life immediately resumes. Like screen doors open, parents yell out from kitchens to check on the kids. A guy across the street just goes right back to washing his Camaro with a garden hose.
They all just file it away as a background annoyance. It's just a tremor,
Exactly. But then the streetlights above them buzz loudly and die. The entire neighborhood drops into this strange, shadowy blue twilight.
The power is gone.
Yeah. The cassette player on the Buick cuts off mid-song. And most jarring of all, the distant, constant, roaring hum of the Ventura Freeway goes completely, impossibly silent.
Which, if you know anything about the geography of Los Angeles, the silence of a major freeway is perhaps the most unnatural sound of all.
Oh, for sure.
Because what those residents don't know is that this isn't just a blown neighborhood transformer. That entire suburban grid, we're talking a population of nearly 12,000 people.
Wow. 12,000.
Yeah, along with a stretch of Ventura Boulevard, several elementary schools, parks, all those parked cars. The whole thing has been physically and violently displaced across time and space.
This is terrifying.
They are currently suspended inside a glowing chronometric distortion envelope on an uncharted Class M planet over 4 centuries out of their proper temporal alignment.
And that, right there, brings us to the stark, jarring contrast of our sources today. Because you have to shift your perspective from that darkened 1984 cul-de-sac up into the cold, quiet, expansive space.
Right, to the bridge of the USS Arawyn.
Exactly. This 25th century starship had just been out on routine patrol. They had finished helping a massive commercial freighter limp back to warp capacity. They were doing stellar mapping.
Just quiet, orderly, deeply routine scientific work.
Right, and suddenly their long-range sensors detect a brief, highly localized subspace fold. So they immediately drop the ship to impulse power. They're expecting, maybe a natural anomaly.
A rogue comet maybe, or something standard.
Yeah. But instead, they find an entirely uncharted planet hiding a massive glowing distortion bubble near the surface.
And the sheer surrealism of the moment is just captured perfectly in the bridge logs because the ship's communication arrays are automatically scanning the electromagnetic spectrum, right? They're looking for any sign of life or technological origin.
Yeah.
And out of that glowing distortion on this uncharted world, a localized radio transmission breaks through.
Yes. The static on the bridge speakers suddenly clears, and the highly disciplined command crew of a 25th century starship suddenly hears the bright, upbeat synthesizer opening of Jump by Van Halen.
I mean, can you imagine?
No. It's so wild. And then the music fades out and a KROQ Los Angeles DJ comes on the air. He's casually talking about a minor earthquake, some power outages over in Studio City and Van Nuys.
Complaining about weird traffic building up on the 101 freeway?
Right. Then he smoothly spins Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time before the signal violently fractures back into deep space static.
It's just wild.
Okay, let's unpack this. It is like tuning your modern car radio on a desolate midnight highway and picking up a live, crystal-clear broadcast from a ghost town.
That's a great way to put it.
But it's not a ghost town, it's real life, happening right beneath them.
It's a profound shock to the system. I mean, you have officers trained to encounter the unknown, but the unknown is usually, well, alien.
Right.
It's not a slice of their own ancient history broadcasting pop music at them.
Right, and this is where I have to step in and push back on the official Starfleet response, because I struggle with this immensely.
Oh, the rescue protocol.
Yeah. If I am on that bridge and I hear that broadcast, my immediate human reaction, and I think the reaction of almost anyone listening to us right now, will be like, go down there.
Beam them up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring them aboard the ship, give them blankets, and tell them they're safe. They have the technology to evacuate those people in hours. Why is the absolute first thing Captain Sabrina Corbin does order a ship-wide yellow alert and strictly, explicitly forbid any contact or active sensor scan?
I know, it feels cold.
It feels incredibly cold.
But what's fascinating here is how quickly the command staff recognizes the absolute philosophical and physical minefield they just parked next to.
By Whitefield.
Oh, absolutely. They don't have the luxury of acting purely on empathy. They have to act on physics. Commander Susanna Battenberg, she's the executive officer, she lays out the impossible logic of the situation in the briefing room.
Right, the whole transport versus duplicate debate.
Exactly. She asks the core question. What exactly is inside that bubble? Is this a literal, physical piece of Earth that was transported across the galaxy?
And if it is,
Well, if so, what happened to the rest of the planet's biosphere? Where are the oceans, the atmosphere, the tectonic plates?
which means if it was physically ripped from the Earth, returning them could be impossible without causing a planetary catastrophe.
Exactly. Or, as Battenberg asks, was this chunk of 1984 duplicated? Was it recreated down to the atomic level by some unknown godlike intelligence?
That's horrifying.
They don't actually know what they're looking at. And as Captain Corbin points out, these aren't just random aliens. These are human civilians from Earth's own past. The prime directive implications are staggering.
Right. You are looking at a society that hasn't even invented the global internet yet, let alone warp drive.
Not even close.
But keeping the ship hidden in orbit doesn't solve the immediate visceral problem on the ground. A 12-year-old having a severe asthma attack in 1984 doesn't care about subspace resonance or prime directive philosophy.
No, they absolutely do not.
They care that the hospital's nebulizers have no power, which puts the Arawyn's doctors in a brutal ethical trap. Once the initial shock on the bridge wears off, the command team has to face the terrifying reality that these 12,000 people are sitting in the dark.
And they are going to need help. Fast.
Fast.
It is a profound medical crisis, and it completely shifts the operational focus of the ship. Down in sickbay, Chief Medical Officer Rhea Amberlin and Dr. Claire Dunross immediately start pulling 20th century baseline physiology profiles.
And the pathology profiles from the historical database.
Yeah. Because the doctors realize instantly that the immediate danger to these people isn't the chronometric anomaly itself. It's the collapse of 1984 infrastructure.
The infrastructure threat is so insidious because it's invisible. Dr. Dunross points this out brilliantly in her logs. 1984 medicine can actually handle a lot. Like, they had decent surgical techniques and medication.
They weren't helpless.
No, not at all. But their entire system relies on interconnected power grids, cold chain supply routes, and functioning brightly lit hospitals.
Which are now all gone.
Exactly. If the power stays off and the supply trucks from outside the valley can't get in because the roads just end in a glowing wall of light, standard daily ailments suddenly become fatal.
Like asthma, diabetes, cardiac events.
Complicated pregnancies, seizure disorders. They don't need a space monster to attack them. They just need their normal life support systems to fail.
And that means the clock is ticking the second the power goes out. Insulin requires refrigeration. Dialysis machines require massive amounts of electricity.
Exactly. But, okay, here's where my frustration peaks again.
Yeah.
The Arawyn has all this futuristic medical tech.
They do.
They have replicators that can synthesize any medication instantly. They have dermal regenerators that heal wounds in seconds. They can fix almost anything without even performing invasive surgery.
Oh yeah, their tech is basically magic by 1980s standards.
Right. So why is Dr. Dunross so incredibly hesitant to just secretly beam down some medical supplies or use their tech to save the most critical patients?
Because of the massive insurmountable chasm between the two eras. It breaks down into two distinct vectors, biological and psychological.
Okay, let's start with the biological.
First, the biological reality. A human from 1984 has a completely different internal ecosystem. They have an incomplete vaccine history by 25th century standards.
That makes sense.
They have different antibiotic usage patterns, meaning their microbiomes are different. They have absolutely no immunity to modern 25th century pathogens that the Arawyn crew might carry asymptomatically.
Wow. Okay.
And conversely, the Arawyn crew might be highly vulnerable to historical 20th century diseases that are simply no longer part of their daily clinical practice.
So even breathing the same air could trigger an epidemic on either side.
Precisely. But more importantly, there is the psychological terror to consider. This raises an important question, right? How does advanced technology actually look to someone who has no framework for it?
Oh, that's a really good point.
Think about it from the perspective of a 1984 police officer or a paramedic. They are already dealing with a massive blackout, terrified citizens, and an unexplained geological event.
Tensions are sky high.
Exactly! Suddenly, someone in a strange, sleek uniform appears out of nowhere. This stranger doesn't use bandages or stitches. They pull out a glowing metallic device, a dermal regenerator, and instantly seal a laceration.
That'd be terrifying to see.
Or they point a flashing, beeping tricorder at a patient's chest. To a frightened, exhausted 1984 civilian, a tricorder doesn't look like a diagnostic tool. It looks like a weapon.
Wow. That is such a chilling realization. Advanced medical technology completely devoid of context doesn't look like a miracle.
No, it really doesn't.
It looks like magic, or worse, it looks like a hostile invasion. It's like trying to rescue someone from drowning by hovering a massive search and rescue helicopter right over their head.
Right.
The intention is to save them, but the sheer force of the downwash just pushes them further under the water. The very tools meant to save them could trigger a massive, deadly panic.
That downwash analogy is exactly right. Dr. Dunross explicitly warns the captain that if Starfleet medical teams are too visible, they are vastly more likely to be interpreted as a mortal threat before they are ever understood as help.
Because they just can't comprehend it.
A panicked police force with 1984 firearms will shoot first when faced with what they perceive as an alien threat.
So that forces a major strategic pivot in the briefing room. If they can't swoop in to help and they absolutely can't use their tech openly, how do they even monitor the situation to make sure everyone isn't dying without being detected?
They have to figure something out.
Right, they can't just leave them blind.
This is where we see a truly fascinating strategic clash between the engineering and science divisions aboard the Arawyn.
Okay, lay it out for us.
In the observation lounge, acting chief engineer Ryan Collingway suggests what sounds on the surface like a brilliant practical idea.
Which is?
He notes that the people down there aren't stupid. They are going to eventually look up and realize the night sky is completely wrong.
Oh, of course. The stars.
Right. The constellations they've known their entire lives are missing, the sun isn't going to set at the right time, or the planetary rotation will be off.
So what's his plan?
So Collingway proposes using the Arawyn's main deflector dish to manipulate the planet's weather patterns, basically seeding the atmosphere to create a constant heavy cloud cover over the anomaly so the civilians simply can't see that their sky is broken.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the science officer, Lieutenant Stephen Remington, immediately steps in and has to drop a massive physics-based reality check on that idea.
Yeah, he shuts down pretty quick.
He does. He reminds the room that 1984 Earth was not some primitive society banging rocks together in caves. They had outward-facing scans. They had sophisticated weather tracking.
Oh, yeah.
More importantly, they had massive radio observatories, like the Very Large Array in New Mexico.
Exactly. The 1980s were the golden age of radio astronomy.
Right. So Remington points out that if the Arawyn starts actively manipulating the atmosphere by firing a 25th century deflector beam into the clouds, they are going to pump out tachyon radiation or subspace static.
Which is a huge red flag.
The 1984 scientists trapped in that bubble, or the military arrays that might have been caught in the displacement, are absolutely going to measure that electromagnetic interference.
And they would instantly flag it as an artificial extraterrestrial signal. They would spot the ship hiding in orbit, not visually, but through the data.
And the science goes even deeper than just avoiding detection. Remington points out that the gravitational lensing at the very perimeter of the distortion boundary doesn't match any known black hole or quantum singularity models the Federation has on file.
The boundary itself is highly volatile.
Right, it's emitting low-level subspace resonance patterns. If the Arawyn pushes active sensor sweeps or a massive surge of energy like a deflector beam into that fragile environment, they have absolutely no idea what the reaction will be.
It's too risky.
They might accidentally destabilize the entire bubble and vaporize the very people they are trying to protect.
And it's not just the hard science that demands this brutal level of restraint. It's the tactical reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Tactical Officer Grayson McKinney weighs in, and he essentially says, look, we don't know who or what possessed the power to move a 12,000-person grid of Earth across the galaxy.
Right. That takes unimaginable power.
Exactly. And he says, I'd rather not leave our back door open to a ghost story. He doesn't want the Arawyn lighting itself up like a beacon for whatever entity caused this.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So what do?
McKinney's solution is so elegant yet perfectly restrained. Instead of active scans, he deploys long-range Sentinel drones, placing them on a high elliptical orbit far from the planet.
Oh, that's smart.
These drones are entirely passive. They don't broadcast signals. They don't ping the surface with active sensors. They just sit in the dark and passively watch the perimeter with optical and thermal cameras.
So they're serving as a silent, early warning system.
Right, just in case whatever caused this anomaly decides to return to the scene of the crime.
And then Security Chief Iaflamia adds a crucial, sobering cultural context to all this physics and tactics. He warns the command staff that 1984 Los Angeles was an inherently volatile, often violent place.
Oh, absolutely.
If this is truly a segment of that specific Earth, the population could turn on each other very quickly as panic sets in, resources dwindle, and the police force becomes overwhelmed.
Which just reinforces Captain Corbin's incredibly difficult decision. No contact.
No contact at all.
You do not intervene, you do not play God until you understand the entire board.
But we have to acknowledge that the extreme caution and rigorous discipline required to manage this crisis isn't just taxing on those trapped civilians down in 1984.
No, it's affecting everyone.
The personal diaries and medical logs reveal it's taking a massive, deeply hidden toll on the Arawyn crew themselves. We have to talk about Lieutenant Ryan Collingway.
Oh man, Collingway, he is dealing with his own entirely internal form of displacement.
Yes, Collingway's situation is so deeply human. It's a perfect microcosm of the larger crisis happening outside the ship. For context, Collingway has just been abruptly promoted to acting chief engineer.
Because of Commander Harlan's accident.
Right. The previous chief suffered a severe, incapacitating head injury during a prior unrelated incident. Ryan is literally sitting in his predecessor's office, surrounded by another man's belongings, feeling like an absolute intruder.
He's got major imposter syndrome.
Huge. He confesses in his logs that he feels like he's just holding his breath, waiting for the next catastrophic crisis to happen so he can fail.
And there's this highly specific, incredibly quiet moment in the sources that really highlights the psychological pressure of Starfleet Command.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Ryan goes to his executive officer, Commander Battenberg, and formally asks for permission to undergo hypnotic meditation with another lieutenant on the crew.
Hypnotic meditation.
Yeah, he is dealing with suppressed memories and trauma from Harlan's accident. He desperately needs to unlock those memories to process them.
But he's scared to do it, right?
He is terrified to admit it because he firmly believes it will make his XO doubt his emotional stability and his ability to lead engineering during this unprecedented 1984 crisis.
He's just trying to hold it all together.
He's trying to white-knuckle his way through a massive psychological burden purely so he can do his job and not let the ship down.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, look at the striking parallel here. Down on the surface of the planet, the civilians in Sherman Oaks are actively rationalizing this terrifying, impossible chronological anomaly as just a strange earthquake and a bad blackout.
Right, they're clinging to what they know.
Exactly. They are using the only familiar framework they have to manage their collective trauma and maintain some semblance of order so they don't lose their minds. Up on the starship, Ryan Collingway is doing the exact same thing.
Oh, that's such a good point.
He's using Starfleet discipline, a rigid sense of duty, and systematic hypnotic meditation to manage his own internal trauma. He is desperately trying to keep his personal reality stable while everything around him shifts and threatens to break.
Both the 1984 residents and the 25th century engineer are just desperately trying to hold their respective worlds together by hyper-focusing on the tiny things they can actually control.
It's a beautiful, tragic symmetry, and it brings us to the ultimate climax of the situation. You have a crew facing an impossible physics problem, a displaced population rapidly running out of time and infrastructure.
And a starship full of highly trained experts realizing that their best tools might actually be their most dangerous weapons.
So what does this all mean? Where does that impossible math leave them? After all the debate, the science, the medical profiling, what is the ultimate conclusion of the command staff?
It leads to one of the most difficult, burdensome decisions a starship captain can make. Captain Corbin issues her final directive to the crew. They will establish a comprehensive intervention matrix.
In an intervention matrix?
Yes. It's essentially a master plan of preparation without execution. Engineering will prep any particles in the ship's transporters. Any particles are a highly specific counteragent used to safely scrub chronometric radiation.
Oh, so just in case the 1984 civilians start exhibiting symptoms of temporal sickness from crossing the timeline?
Exactly. So they're getting the cure ready, but holding it back.
Got it.
Medical will build massive, detailed casualty profiles for exactly how and when the 1984 infrastructure will collapse, predicting who will need what medicine first. Science will continue to monitor the boundaries' resonance patterns entirely passively.
But they don't step in.
No. The core of the order is absolute. They will not make contact. They must observe, and they must prepare. She tells her senior staff, and this is a direct quote from the logs, "We do not mistake inaction for indifference."
We do not mistake inaction for indifference.
We do not mistake inaction for indifference. That is such a powerful, haunting line.
It really is.
It takes a profound, almost superhuman level of restraint to sit in orbit and watch a tragedy slowly unfold right in front of you. To literally hear the radio broadcasts of scared, confused people wondering why the police haven't come yet.
And knowing you could fix it. And know that stepping in to help might actually destroy them. It's a masterclass in understanding that help must always be contextualized to the person receiving it, not just the person giving it.
Right, because it's not about them.
It's not about how morally righteous the Arawyn crew feels about swooping in to save the day. It's entirely about what the people of 1984 can actually survive, both biologically and psychologically.
Precisely. The Arawyn crew is forced to carry the crushing burden of knowledge, while the civilians below carry the terrifying burden of ignorance.
Wow.
And in this specific, volatile intersection of time and space, ignorance is literally the only thing keeping the civilians from completely losing their minds and destroying their own community.
Because the truth is just too big.
Right. The Arawyn has to sit in the cold, dark of space, silently watching and wait for the exact right moment to act, knowing that moment might never actually come.
It really leaves you with a thought that's hard to shake, especially when you think about the quiet rationalizations happening in both timelines.
Yeah.
Down in that displaced chunk of Sherman Oaks, the residents are blaming the missing freeway noise and the dead streetlights on an earthquake.
Yeah.
They are actively rationalizing the impossible, using the tools they have. So it leaves you wondering, what impossible structural shifts in our own lives are we currently rationalizing away as just a minor earthquake because we simply don't have the context to see the truth?
That is a terrifying thought.
It makes you look around at your own world just a little bit differently, doesn't it? Well, that is all for today's deep dive. We will catch you next time.